The reasons for Ukraine's offensive failures and Russia's successes in defense are the West's slow, intermittent and non-strategic provision of assistance to Kyiv, said John Bolton, former national security advisor to the US president. I will not emphasize the phrase Ukraine's failures, but for at least a year all sane experts from around the world have been saying, if you want to defeat Russia, give Ukraine weapons. Ukrainian fighters really need more HIMARS, long-range missiles and finally airplanes. And they all discuss, and according to the same Bolton, suffer from paralyzing caution. If you have a second Afghanistan in your plans, why did you even start helping? Ukrainians, as no one else can stop the evil from the east and knows how to do it, speed them up at last. While preparing materials for today's video, I read not by my own free will, a summary of the Russian Defense Ministry, almost bled out of my eyes. Judging by their calculations, the whole Ukraine should be covered with Ukrainian pounded equipment. In addition to the fantastic numbers of losses of the Ukrainian army, 11,274 tanks and armored vehicles and 458 aircraft, which at the beginning of the invasion was 124 units, noticed a strange thing there. According to the summary, the Russian side nowhere advances, but always only defends. And it does it of course very successfully. The enemy forces repelled all the attacks of the nationalists, by coordinated actions destroyed, subdued, defeated and all that. I did not see any materials about Kupiansk, which they are about to take, counteroffensive at Bakhmut and similar successes. By the way, they don't specify Ukrainian losses in men. Because if you count losses in equipment, multiply one thing by another plus infantry, the Ukrainian army should have been finished by the end of last year. And by some miracle it has not ended and still manages to advance. And what is happening in reality? With the escape of the occupants from the village of Ukrashne, the depth of the Ukrainian defense forces breakthrough in the Berdansk direction is now more than 10 kilometers. Ahead is the relatively large settlement of Staromlinivka with the small village of Zavitin-Boshania, which are parts of a single defense architecture. Staromlinivka is a rather large settlement, where more than 2,000 people lived before the full-scale invasion. In addition, it is also a key point in this direction, as well as an important logistics center. With the loss of Staromlinivka, it will be more difficult for the occupants to hold Novodonetsk and Kermenshik on the flank. In addition to logistics, it is also the last major stronghold. South of it there are kilometers of steppes and fields, farms, and the so-called Surovikin line. It is likely that the enemy will cling to Staromlinivka even more fiercely than to Ukrashne. It is a key settlement. After Staromlinivka, the next logistical stronghold is Novopetrikivka, a village of 1,000 people, naturally, before the invasion. At the same time, Novopetrikivka is not just a logistical center, it is part of the defense architecture of their second line, which is most likely heavily fortified. Following the textbooks, this very Novopetrikivka will have to be bypassed. But this is following the textbooks, the ones that were written half a century ago. The Russians are probably counting on it, and that's why those vast steppes and fields around are generously mined. So it is not excluded that we will see the continuation of the already tried tactics, mowing down the enemy positions with long-range weapons and then followed by an assault in small groups. Everything is going according to the plan of the Ukrainian General Staff. Let's not rush things.